So, marketing stuff aside for this, this is one complaint that I kind of had that I mentioned it when we were talking earlier about this, and it is with the choice of villain with Kuze, where it really doesn't seem like they're gonna do it right at all.
Kuze is a what's the right word for him? He's a little bit of a he's a mysterious character because you like, even though you
at the beginning, definitely.
Yeah, and then you do learn more about Kuze, but even then there's like a lot of history that's not explained with Kuze. He's obviously older than the average person, I think. So
No, not necessarily.
Because doesn't he have like a completely different body though?
Well, it's called a PKF body. It's for like the peacekeeping force.
Yeah.
But not to get too far into the show details. But the episode Affection, do you remember that one?
I do, yeah.
Where it's the one, it's the two prosthetic bodies.
I do, yeah.
So one is the Major, one's Kuze.
One's Kuze, yeah.
So him and the Major are about the same age.
Okay. So they ended up going to their bodies right around the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they knew they did know each other.
They knew each other. They didn't realize
they were the same people.
That they were the same people until the very end.
And so throughout the show, well, they're piecing this together throughout the show. Or at least Major is, right?
Kinda.
She's like picking up on subtle hints that she possibly knows this guy. Season 2 is so interesting, but
season 2 is my favorite out of the two.
Yeah, it's much slower too than season 1. I think there's big set piece incidences, and then there's like a lot. There's kind of lulls. There's not.
It's they spend more time continuously developing it compared to season 1. Because season 1, you get episode 1 and 2 are unrelated to everything. 3, 4, and 5 are all like the setup, and then you go like 10 episodes before there's another Laughing Man episode.
I didn't realize that.
It's a pretty, maybe not 10, maybe I think it's like 7 or whatever. And then there's like 2, and then you skip another one, and then like the last 5 episodes.
It comes back up, and they even acknowledge that, right? After like the 7 episodes difference, they're like, oh, he's back, or something like that. Like Laughing Man's
well,
back
it's not necessarily that he's back at it. It's so you get the 2 episodes with the attempted assassination on the police chief.
Yeah.
And then there's like just one-offs, and then there's the one where Togusa goes to the facility where you find out where the Laughing Man is at with all the super like cyber savant kids or whatever.
Yeah.
There's that episode and then the fallout for that, and then then more one-offs.
Okay. So now we've established that.
Yeah, and then season 2, I think there's really only like 3 episodes that don't really tie into everything.
Well, because I remember it starting off with the guys basically killing themselves on the roof.
No, that's a bit further. The first one is the individual 11, like they're kind of unaffiliated, or it's the name.
Yeah.
And then
wasn't that the incident that kicked it all off though?
Not necessarily.
Because wasn't that publicized on television? That's when they were like, that's when Section 8 was like, well, we got to intervene.
No. That was further in.
Okay.
This is one that only like Section 9 and Sia and Goda and them knew about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was an assault on the Chinese embassy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am certain. Okay.
The one you're talking about is like episode 10 or 11.
Okay, so it's further in.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got way too far into show details. But as far as the character, I guess, is what we're going with here for Kuze as the villain. It seems like they're making him more kind of like Ghost in the Shell or Rise storyline, like where it's like false memories kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, like they think they saved your life, but they really like took it or whatever. It's like, that's not Kuze.
Yeah.
Because he's all about... Like, ideologically, it's a totally different character.
Yeah, and there lies the problem is, the Kuze character that I think that I'm more familiar with, well, that's the Kuze character that exists, actually. Like, that is who he is.
Yeah.
Like, when I heard that in the trailer, like, I paused and I just, like, sighed out. I'm like, this is not something that he would say in the show.
No, because it has nothing to do with the plot line.
No, it has nothing to do with the plot line, and he reminds me, Kuze. If I had to compare him, he kind of in real life he'd be somewhat of an anarchist. I think in real life, he just doesn't like the whole like him specifically targeting the Major like you thought that they saved your life, but they like that would never would never come out of his mouth.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's on a philosophical level and an ideological level, it's completely different.
Are we thinking that is said by Coulter in the trailer? Is that him?
That is him because that sounds like Michael Pitt.
Okay, fucking A.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that because for those of you who might not have seen the show, watch it. It's amazing. If you haven't picked up on that, we both like it. But in the show, like he's this kind of revolutionary. Yeah. In real life, he's kind of more like a Che Guevara or something like that.
Yeah.
Where it's more about liberating.
Yeah.
All these refugees and trying to make their lives better in really, really like compelling ways too. It's not just, we're going to make Dajima a separate country. It's okay. If they all die, I'm going to make them all immortal on the net.
Yeah. Which is, it's like I said, it's very interesting the way that he goes about doing it because never once in this show in season 2 did I ever go, I think he's completely wrong. And that's interesting, and that's one of the reasons why he's such a compelling character because even at the start when one of the things that they did so fantastic was just the conversations between him and Major, where she's like trying to stop him, if you will, and he's explaining to her why it is that he's going about the way that he's going about it, and then they even start with, okay, well, here's how it started with the refugee issue, here's how it's progressed, here's how it's going to get worse. It's like, and she can't disagree with anything that he's saying for the most part. No,
and like he's an antagonist in the fact that he is a criminal as far as the law is concerned. Yeah, but he's not the villain of that season.
No, as far as the system has effectively, the system has worked against like a large significant group of people, and I think one of his points was, I forgot which episode it was when they were trying to find the. When they were trying to find no, I think it was the episode where like war broke out and they were both like trapped under the rebel.
Yeah, that's like the second to last
episode. And it was like, it became like clear, I think, to Major that in order for that problem to fix itself, the system had to be blown up to a certain degree. And like I said, it's very similar to kind of what's going on right now. Yeah, like, it's very interesting to see people kind of like it's just like in the show, people kind of lash onto that fear. And then you end up with like this refugee crisis, and you end up with this immigration issue, and it's very very similar. So
yeah, it's crazy to think about that too. Where it's a Japanese series that is really, if you're going on the original publication day of the manga, is getting close to 30 years old.
Yeah,
and it's still relevant.
It's the funny thing is this is way, when I originally watched this over 10 years ago, it is way more relevant now than it was then. Yeah, like I couldn't like the idea of something like this happening or being an issue when I first saw it. I'm like, no way. And okay, yeah, I'm 25 now, so
yeah, I mean,
it's very relevant.
And I think part of that comes in too because it's something we've talked about this a lot, just through text and whatever. Is that watching the show? I watch the show at least once a year, every year.
Same here.
Since I first saw it.
Same. Actually, I don't think I've watched it this year yet. So. But I'll probably be watching it this Christmas, to be honest with you. So.
But it's one of those things, like each time I watch it, I find something new to love about the series, and I see it in a little bit different way.
Yeah.
Just because, I'm getting older and I'm starting to kind of get a better understanding about things. Because first time I see it, it's like, okay, yeah, this is a great philosophical kind of material.
Yeah.
And the action's amazing and stuff like that.
And it means something important, but you don't know what it is because you can't really process exactly everything that's being said.
Yeah. And just like watching stuff now, where I was watching season 1, and it's the episode where the narc squad tries to set up the chief.
Yeah.
And there's this really good moment at the end. It's like, that's something that I never noticed before. Like, it's 2 sentences, and they develop this character.
Yeah.
And they add such another dimension to him.
Yeah. So, I mean, that the famous Laughing Man scene from season 1 in the library, my God. Like, I remember seeing that for the first time. I'm like, and I had to go back and watch it and try and like, and I really did. I kept rewinding it to try and decipher what it was that he was saying. And I could, and the funny thing is like Salinger and Griffin and all these like famous philosophers that he was quoting, like I hadn't read it yet. And so after I've like, you know, gotten older and I've had time to read some of these incredible pieces of work, I'm able to better relate to that conversation that he's having. But it's funny because I think the most recent time I went back and watched it, which was a little over a year ago, it was like I got everything that he was saying.
Yeah.
I was like, that was the first time I'm like, I totally get what he's saying right now.
Yeah.
Like, it felt so good to kind of understand everything that the Laughing Man was saying. But even that story is relevant right now.
Yeah. But to kind of get back on track, because we really got off track on that for a second, that character is, it seems like it's going to be completely wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, just kind of more, I guess, nitpicky things that I noticed that are still, I guess, relevant to characters.
Yeah.
Is the fact that the Major is the first and apparently only full body prosthetic, which is bullshit.
Doesn't make any sense.
Because she was in the early days of full body prosthetics.
Yeah.
She had made the transition when she was a child.
Yeah.
But she wasn't the first.
Yeah.
And by the time she's an adult, there's a fuck ton of them.
Which I don't. So are we? I don't know. Is there a way that we can play benefit of the doubt and say that this is split, and it takes place pre what do we want to call them? Cyborgs? Not cyborgs. Androids.
Androids.
Like pre-androids, and then post that. So maybe it takes place at a point in time when she. But
she would have to be a child.
Yeah, she would have had to been a
because
kid.
in every version of the story, even in Arise where they retell it, she's a child when she becomes a full prosthetic.
Yeah, I'm not even getting Batu and the way he looks in the trailer either.
I mean, that's a character I think it's kind of hard to make it look well or make it look good.
I think they could. I think you could have done a better job than what he looked like. That bar scene where he has his actual eyes. Are we gonna assume?
Oh my God.
Are we gonna assume that this happens before? But I'm like, we don't have any frame of reference for when Batu actually had his eyes, as far as I know. Which is what I thought is that he always didn't have his eyes.
And every time we see him, because even when we see him just as part of the Rangers, because that's like a signature thing.
Yeah.
So that's probably when we can assume that that it was the change happened.
Well, even in the season 1, remember when they go back and tell like
that's when he was in the Rangers.
But did he have his eyes then?
No.
Yeah,
it was the prosthetic eyes because that's the transition.
He looked way younger too.
Yeah,
and you could probably guess that's maybe a decade difference because he looked way younger when they told that flashback scene in season 1. So I'm like, well, he looks. So I'm like, if we're gonna compare it to the film and say like how that character is gonna be told and look, then at least from look standpoint, he doesn't look like him.
It seems like they're gonna play up the relationship between Major and Bato way too much.
Yeah, makes sense though.
It does, but they could do it in a much better way because it's always there.
Yeah.
In the shows and the movies and stuff like that, but it's not. Like, that's way too on the nose.
Yeah.
That's like end of season 1 on the nose where he's screaming her name after the dummy assassination thing.
It's one of the fucking best scenes, I think, in anime where he screams her name and then it fucking ends. The episode ends and then the next episode starts with him still screaming her name.
Yeah.
It gave me chills, but yeah.
It's one of the... That, and I think at the end of season 2, it's the same thing with that fucking imagery too, with him with the steel beams in the shape of the cross.
Yeah, the shape of the cross. Yeah, and he's like trying to get her out of the rubble.
Yeah,
was he like screaming Major? He wasn't screaming.
He's screaming. It's Motoko. He's screaming her name.
Yeah.
But yeah, like those are the only 2 times where it's really explicit that there's something there.
Yeah, I mean, and you can even say that he's just really good friends with her. Like, I mean, it's a little bit more than that.
Yeah, but I mean,
that's like you would do that if that was your best friend that you've spent 20, 30 years with. You would do that. You would act like that.
Yeah.
So
it's just one of those things. Like I don't want them to do it too on the nose with it, or make it too obvious, or make it a plot point because it shouldn't.
We're gonna get full blown sexy in the first 15 minutes. I promised you, if anything that ridiculous happens, and I will get up and walk from this film. It's very rare that I do that.
Me and you are going to go see this fucking movie together.
I will walk. I will. If there's a sex scene between Bato and fucking Major in the first 15 minutes of this film, man, I am out.
Well, like I said, we got to watch it all the way through to make our full judgment.
I'll come in during the reviews like, yeah, I left 15 minutes after. This shit's ridiculous.
No, we can't make this like how I was with Green Lantern, where I saw.
Did you walk out of? Did you? Walk
I didn't. No, I didn't go see Green Lantern in theater because it wasn't even a review thing.
Because you were smart. That's
well.
why.
Here's the thing. It had nothing to do with that. It's because when that movie came out, I was at the height of like my Green Lantern fanboyness.
Okay.
And everything I saw about it was okay. Yeah, it's me based off this specific book.
Yeah.
Like this specific storyline.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, I just never got around to go seeing it because I think it came out before I had a car yet. Still.
Okay. Okay.
And I think it was before I had a job too, because it was like right after I graduated high school. Was that like 2008 that came out?
Green Lantern? No, Green Lantern came out 2011.
No, it wasn't.
I think it might have been 2010, 2011. To be honest with you, it came out later.
I had a car then.
It came out later.
Either way, for some reason or another, I just never got around to going to see the movie.
Yeah.
And then I saw like 10 minutes in the middle of the movie on Stars, and I was like, "Fuck this!" Like, in the middle, like you guys got so much shit wrong.
It was.
I'm really worried that they're gonna do that with this.
They did not. They didn't care with Green Lantern, man. They did not give a shit with Green Lantern.
No, they didn't, and that's sad because it's one of those things where there was actually two really good casting choices.
I was right on that, 2011.
Really? That seemed like it was older.
Yeah, we try and forget about it, so
yeah.
It makes sense.
Well, and that's the sad thing is that there was two really good casting choices in that movie with Mark Strong as Sinestro.
Sinestro was cast very well.
Yeah. And I'm one of the few people that will kind of defend Ryan Reynolds as Hal Jordan.
I don't know if I can defend that because I don't even know if I like him that much as Deadpool, which I know is sacrilege to say, but
and the reason why I can say that is because Hal Jordan, you know, like he's got this swagger about him. He's this really kind of arrogant, you know, fearless kind of character, and that does play into Ryan Reynolds' like I guess typecasting pretty well.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And you know, he did have the look for it. It's just everything else about that movie was terrible.
If I'm saying like going off of acting though, I mean if we have to tie this back in the Ghost in the Shell, the cast. Looks good.
The cast looks good.
Looks good. And I will say that one way that we could, which we'll get into this in just a second, is we could be sold on this is the acting.
Yeah.
The acting could make up for a lot of stuff.
If the acting makes up for it and they do make the plot tight enough and make it really kind of hit the marks, even if they do have all this, you know, like 5-minute fan service bullshit in it, it can make up for it. I'm just worried that it won't. I'm worried that this is going to be another Green Lantern kind of for me.